What's up, Steeples? In this video, we're going to be talking about the light cards, the cards that are shared by both light heroes, Bolton and Prism, and even old Prism. We're going to see if Prism wants any of these light cards from the past. So without further ado, let's just get right to it. Okay, so first up, we got the Radiant equipment set here. You know, we got all sorts of Radiant flows to Radiant View. Beautiful artwork. Love the artwork on this card. Is this card playable in Blitz? No. Maybe if you really wanted to have some counterplay towards Kano, but you're kind of already pretty good against Kano, so I think you're kind of okay. If you're making like a tanky ward build with the new Prism Blitz, maybe. But this is clearly made for Commoner. And in Commoner, I like the idea of this. I think this is something that you will be able to use as like a last ditch effort. Just, you do have to have soul for it. So there's a bit of a downside. You might not run all 4 pieces, but it almost kind of feels like you have to, of how gorgeous they are. You gotta have the matching set. I think that's all we'll talk about that. I don't know too much about Commoner, especially Commoner Prism, but this might be something to consider. Okay, so next up, United We Stand. As of now, this card is just a light popper, and that's all it really is. And there's a ton of poppers out there, so it doesn't have to be played as just a popper. But the thing is, it's really not good in any other context. It's a 3 for 6 that blocks for 2, and its Unity block is okay, but if it's being brought in as a popper, you're not really going to block it with Unity to get it the extra value. I mean, Bolton will get a Courage token, and you know I'm high on Courage tokens, but Prism just gets a Spectral Shield, and it's like, I don't know, it's just not really worth it. It's not really there. So I'm not about this card as of now. But with that being said, this card has a lot of potential because of the party mechanic that is in this card. So I would say if you have some, keep on to them. You know, I think we're going to get a new PvE format. I think that's coming with the Professor decks. It's going to be the new PvE format. And then that's really what we can tell, okay, is this what we want to do? Is this what, you know, is this a good card or not? But until then, this card is very mediocre. But maybe in, I think this card's just mediocre. But there's some speculations for it. Alright, now let's talk about Lumina Lancet. This is obviously E-Strike meets Celestial Cataclysm, and they had a baby, and here's the card. The card's pretty cool. I like the card itself. But further playing with this card, I realized that first off, this is really just a Bolton card. I don't think you are going to be playing in Prism. So I think this is mostly just a Bolton card. I don't even think Old Prism particularly wants this card. Old Prism could deal with this card, or could use this card though, because this does just say target light attack. So your auras would be able to get pumped with this card, or have the ability to draw a card. But let's talk about why I'm not as big into this card as I once was. Sure, it has all these options, and I think if you are a type of deck that creates a ton of soul, this is going to be great. So if like a combo Bolton deck that creates a ton of soul, especially after the combo, this is a great finisher for it, and it blocks for 3. I'm about this card in that deck. However, if you are finding that you're having about 1 to 2 souls at any given point, not much beyond that, then this card gets a little worse. And the reason is because getting the +2 can be nice. It's just taking a soul out to get the +2. And if you're just looking for some damage and maybe an on-hit effect from the card itself, then that might be fine. But doing when this hits draw a card, that's okay. It's replacing the card you draw is replacing itself with, or the Lumina Lancet is replacing itself with the card you draw. And that part's kind of nice, but on its own, you're using a soul to draw a card or to replace this card. So it's not enough, I think, on its own. And then it has, when this hit, if it gains, or it gets go again. That's okay too, if you needed to go again. But if you're Bolton, you're already probably doing something, to give it go again. It might be one of those things where maybe you didn't charge this turn and it doesn't have like a greater power, so there's no way to give it go again. This is your way to give it go again. This can be an out. My whole point with this card is that if you're not doing two of these abilities, I don't think the card is there. I think if you're doing just one of the abilities, I don't think this card is quite worth it. So I think in order to have a slot in the deck, you have to consistently do two of its abilities or even three for this card to be great. All right. There's certain Bolton builds that can do that better than others, and maybe old Prism can do that pretty well. I find new Prism doesn't quite have a soul as much as I would often want her to, so I don't really like this in new Prism. Okay, that was a lot, but that was a big card to go over. Radiant Force Field. Now this one's pretty easy because this one's not good. This is, it's a free instant speed aura, so maybe in an aura build you can get there. But if you're not playing in an aura build, I don't see this card working for you. So I wouldn't play this card in Prism, and I wouldn't play it in Bolton either. No, I'm not about it in any deck right now. I'm just not. Next up, Lay to Rest, a 1-for-5 that gets a pump if it's going against shadows, so it's 1-for-6. It's on rate. If it gets the pump, it's above rate. And then when it hits, you may turn a card face down in the banish zone. I don't think that really affects Vincent, because Vincent will oftentimes just play whatever she puts in immediately. So you don't really have a lot of blood deck cards just hanging about with Vincent. Now with Levia, that definitely could be the case, especially if she's looking to turn to Soul Plasma Fet. Then she's going to try to recur, and this can help with that. So I really think the playability of this card depends on how good Levia is. But truthfully, I'm not about it. If Levia is like an S tier deck, okay, this card's good. But if she's not, don't play this card. I think that's my verdict. Next up, Blessing of Salvation, a 1-for-3 that can be an instant to gain 3 life. No. It's just not needed. Alright, next up, Cleansing Light. Now, this one's interesting. The red version will destroy target red aura, yellow will destroy yellow, blue, blue. Now, we know that there's a ton of auras in Prism. Not red ones, but blues and yellows. So if Prism becomes big, this might be the mirror killer, or Bolton's way of dealing with Prism is to use these Cleansing Lights. I'm about it if that's the case. If Prism's big, I'm about it. But beyond that, there's not very many auras. Dromai has Burned Them All, and Briar has Channel Mount Heroic. Those are some red auras out there that you can destroy, but I don't think that either one of those decks are going to... I think there's just better options for both of those decks as far as the sideboard piece. I don't mind the yellow Cleansing Light, because if a Genesis or Arclight Sentinel came out, this can help destroy that. Now, I do want to put it out there that you do have to put a card in your Hero Soul to play it at instant speed, so that will be necessary. Otherwise, this is just a bad turn, because you can just attack into those auras to destroy them anyways. So it does require a lot, and it does cost 3. So am I very big on this card? No. This is something, again, if Prism is S tier, okay. Otherwise, I'm not going to be playing this card. Okay, next up, Blistering Assault. This is a 2-for-5 with Go Again, and if a yellow card's in your pitch zone, it has Go Again if a yellow card's in your pitch zone. Okay. I'm not going to play this in Prism. There's just no need. I have Heralds. I'd much rather play those. And as far as Bolton goes, I'm only going to play this in the Vestige of Soul Bolton list, because it does cost 2. It's a little costly, and I'd want to play it in a list that has those extra resources to pitch. And then especially because I played Library of Solana in that deck, this helps to put 2 cards in the yellow, or 2 yellow cards in the pitch zone. One to play this and one to swing at the sword. So I do like that card for Vestiges of Soul list. Past that, it's not good. Defender of Daybreak, a 0 for 4. Okay, not terrible. Has a little bonus, like it can, get a +1 at defending a shadow card. It's okay, but I don't think okay is good enough. I think Boltyn is very tight as far as cards go, and this doesn't charge. And as far as Prism, no. Like, Heralds are just so good. Like, you're not going to replace a Herald for this, even if you're going against a Shadow opponent. Alright, Searing Ray. Again, I like this in the Vestige of Soul Boltyn list. Maybe even a Raiden Boltyn list. This is a 1 for 6. This is extremely good value. All you have to have is a yellow card in your pitch. And if your deck is like 75% yellow, the likelihood of that is pretty high. So I do like Searing Ray. And on top of that, it pumps itself, so it allows you to use Boltyn's ability to give it go again. So I like this card a lot for Boltyn. As far as for Prism, this is maybe the only light attack that I could see just because it's cheap, but I'm still not for it. Okay, Break of Dawn, a 0 for 4, basically preventing 4 damage from a shadow source. If a shadow hero is S tier, I would think about it, but Levia or Vincent need to be S tier for me to even consider it. If you have a chain in your Blitz meta and he or she always wins, you can add these in. Alright. That is the light cards. I think the biggest winner of these light cards is Boltyn. I think there's more playable cards here for Boltyn than not. And I think, we got some good Majestic. We got a bad Majestic. But let's see what PV does. So, once this goes to like pennies on the dollars, pick these up. Get ready for that new PV format. I imagine we're going to be using this card. I hope at least. Thanks for watching, guys. This is the light part. We got more to come, so stay tuned. But until then, keep on vabbing.